2025 NFL Draft is officially in the books for the Miami Dolphins. Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel made 8 selections, and on today's show, we're going to go pick by pick, grade each move that the Dolphins made in the draft, including some trades. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Let's quickly go through all of the picks that Miami made. It started on night 1 with that 13th overall selection where they stayed put, did not make a trade, and they went with Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. Then in round 2, they trade up from pick 48 to get the 37th overall pick with the Raiders, and they take offensive lineman from Arizona, Jonah Savaiinaea, who is going to probably be a starter on the interior. And then they did not make a pick in round 4 because they ultimately traded 135 and 116, and they moved back. We'll talk about that. But then they got Jordan Phillips, the defensive tackle from Maryland, Jason Marshall Jr., the corner from Florida, and then they rounded out the draft with Dante Jr. in round 5, and then a trio of picks that I really like in round 6 and round 7. Ollie Gordon II from Oklahoma State, Quinn Ewers, the quarterback from Texas in round 7, and then Zeke Biggers, the defensive tackle from Georgia Tech. Before we go pick by pick, we are in a sub-battle with those rival Patriots today, folks over there. Patriots had a good draft, if I'm going to be honest, but we're challenging them to a sub-battle. Who could poke up the most subs on this draft grades video? We put out daily content here at Dolphins Today, so if you're a Dolphins fan, hit that sub button. But let's take down the Patriots Today channel as well, because I never want to lose to the Patriots, and hopefully we don't start losing to them on the gridiron this upcoming season. We should still be able to get the job done against those pesky Mike Vrabel-led New England Patriots. But with that being said, let's get into the draft grades here. And Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman from Michigan, I give it an A-. I know a lot of people are going to be skeptical of this pick, and I am just in love with it. I know people wanted DB. I wanted Will Johnson. I wanted Jahdae Barron. But when it came to it, on my big board, I had Kenneth Grant as my 3rd overall player when the available players were there. I had Johnson 1, Barron 2, Grant 3. Defensive line was just such a need for the Fins in this draft because there is no good free agents out there on the defensive line for Miami, so they needed to address it either trade or the draft. They do it here in a big way. The 330-pounder will be able to play nose tackle. He could play alongside Zach Sealer. He's athletic. He's explosive. He's got good hands, high motor, good culture fit. I am in love with Kenneth Grant. I think he's going to be a difference maker for the Dolphins. Then that pick in the 2nd round will kind of incorporate the trade and the pick because I actually think the selection of Jonah Savaiinaea is a really good one. I do, because he's got the power to play inside. He's got the foot speed to be a guard in a wide zone run scheme, but he also played really well as an offensive tackle for Arizona last year. Now, I know a lot of fans were a little bit upset by trading pick number 98 to basically move up and get Savaiinaea, which is fine by me. I can understand that, but when you look at who is available with the 98th overall pick, there really wasn't anyone that crazy out there. So it ultimately, to me, was a good thing that they traded up. They got their guy. If they circled Jonah on their board as someone they wanted to add to this O-line, go get your guy. I'm a fan. Give me a B+ for Jonah Savaiinaea. This isn't one of my favorite picks. I like Jonah, but the first 2 aren't my favorite. I'll get to my favorite later on. Who is your favorite draft pick by the Miami Dolphins? Let me know your comment section, or let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. All right, I did want to grade this trade because after that deal where we traded for Jonah, basically moving up, this was the first move of the day in day 3. In round 4, the Dolphins trade back with the Texans. They traded 116 and 224 to the Texans, and they received 179, a 6th-round pick, and a 2026 3rd-round pick. I'm grading this trade at an A-. And many people in our live chat at the time of going in the draft did not like this trade. It stunned me. Because, yeah, there were some players on the board that I liked at 116. You could arguably Bailey Bowman Jr., Dorian Strong. You could have talked about Quincy Riley. But the truth is, if you pick up a top 100 pick in next year's draft for the 116th pick, that is always going to be right by me. The 7th round was a non-factor. You got the 6th round pick, and you were able to pick up a 3rd rounder next year. Yeah, that's an A-minus trade. I'm a big fan of that move by Chris Grier. They did that last year. They traded a future pick this year's draft in the third round to get a fourth rounder last year. This year they got it back in a different way with the Texans. But in their first pick in the fifth round, courtesy of the Raiders in that trade they traded up to get Jonah Savaiinaea, they took Jordan Phillips, the Maryland defensive tackle. I give this one a B-. He was not the most productive player at Maryland last season, 29 tackles. He is a run stuffer, a run stopper. You cannot expect him to get after the quarterback. He is most likely a nose tackle. And now you have a defensive line of Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant, Benito Jones, and Jordan Phillips. Will they sign one more in free agency? Probably, and maybe get some undrafted free agents as well. But I grade Phillips as a B-. I thought he was a top 120, 130 guy. They got good value on him here. B- player for the Dolphins will be that fourth defensive lineman in rotation. The lowest grade I have for a pick Miami made, it was Jason Marshall Jr., the cornerback from Florida. And some people might ask why I'm lower on this. My guy, Rooney I think it was Ruby in the chat, was very critical of this pick or of this grade I gave it. I'm going to go C-. I think you could have got him in the 6th or 7th round, an uber athletic guy who was graded out in the mid-9s in the RAS, in the 97th percentile. The problem is that he has an injury history. He had a torn labrum this year that forced him to miss half the games. He is not the most technical sound, a former 5-star recruit, never lived up to the hype. Did post a 60% completion percentage when targeted or better over the last 3 seasons. But when you factor in, I think this was a reach in the injury history of Jason Marshall Jr., I would have rather went with Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech, who I was high on, or Kobe Bryant here when they selected Jason Marshall Jr., but that's who Chris Grier went with in the middle of the 5th round. 4 more picks to grade and give the overall grade here in a second. But we are sponsored by House of Atlas, the shaving company that I trust to make sure I'm looking right. And it's the one that I have fallen absolutely in love with. They gift us one of the razors, and I'm blown away. Not only does it look insanely sleek sitting in my bathroom, but it gives me an incredibly close shave. It feels weird to gush over a lineup of shaving products, but truly House of Atlas makes some one-of-a-kind stuff. Not to mention their products are all designed to look like they should have their own tech reveal. The blade head has 5 U.S.-made stainless steel blades that glide right through my facial hair. It has a high-performance serum strip that's infused with ingredients like aloe, vitamin E, and shea butter, which reduces irritation and prevents ingrown hair. And I have that razor in studio with me today. It's what I use every morning before I come to work to make sure my facial hair is trimmed up, looking good on camera for all of you beautiful folks at home, but also looking good for the people that I'm seeing in Dallas, Texas consistently. I truly love House of Atlas. And for now, a limited time, they're offering 15% off your first order when you purchase any razor kit and the before and after set, which includes the Precision Shave Cream and Calming Aftershave. Use code CHAT at houseofatlas.com. That's HOUSEOFATLAS.com with promo code CHAT for 15% off your new razor kit and before and after set. Stop wasting money and time on shaving products that don't look good, aren't effective, and cost way too much. Visit houseofatlas.com today. Trust me, you'll love it as much as I did. Moving on with the third and final pick Miami made in the 5th round. They went safety, Dante Trader Jr. I'm giving this a C grade. I'm not that high on this. There was a couple safeties that I preferred on the board when they made the selection. Jalen Reed from Penn State. I would have also went with R.J. Mickens, the safety from Clemson, over Trader Jr. He was a multi-sport athlete for the Terrapins last year. He played lacrosse. He was a teammate of Jordan Phillips. He is not the most athletic guy. He's not. He graded out very, very poorly at the RAS scale, whether he's free safety, strong safety, corner, it doesn't matter. But he is a physical safety that isn't afraid to tackle, had an excellent 4.8% missed tackle percentage last season. Now, over his career, it's 12.8%, so you can't say he's the most sure-handed tackler. Played well in that game last year. Hopefully, he will bring his A game in minicamp in the preseason to earn himself a spot on this roster where the safety room is very much in question. Moving over to the sixth-round pick, the Dolphins went with Ollie Gordon II, running back from Oklahoma State. I'm giving this a B+. This is a player that the Dolphins had in on a top 30 visit. They met with him at the NFL Combine, someone that they clearly value to want to add to this room. Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, Alexander Madison, and now Ollie Gordon. The Doak Walker Award winner in 2023 when he tattled 1,700 yards, over 20 touchdowns, had a massive drop-off in production this past season, only having 13 touchdowns and 880 yards. I expect him to come in motivated, dropping off after being perceived as one of the top backs in college football coming into this year, gets drafted super late. He's physical. He will run in between the tackles and is going to be a great understudy to Alexander Madison to potentially be that short yardage and RB3 next season to Devon Achane and Jalen Wright. I am a fan of this pick by Ollie Gordon. But my favorite pick of the draft is in round 7. I know it's crazy to say, but Quinn Ewers, the quarterback from Texas, an A+ grade. I know it's aggressive, but the Dolphins needed a developmental third quarterback behind Tua Tagovailoa and Zach Wilson, who they signed in free agency. I think Quinn Ewers is that perfect guy. A 6'1", 6'2 QB, strong arm. What does he need to clean up? He needs to clean up a lot. There's no acting like he's a perfect prospect. He's nothing far from that. He needs to work on his footwork, decision-making, accuracy, and his pocket awareness. But he's got the tools and traits to be an elite quarterback. He does. And he ran a similar offense at Texas under Steve Sarkisian that Mike McDaniel runs at Miami. It's why over the pre-draft process, when we talked about day 3 quarterbacks for Miami, Ewers was always at the top of my list. And in my final mock draft, I had the Dolphins selecting Ewers with the 150th pick, which was a 5th rounder. You're telling me you get a guy that I would have been comfortable taking in the 5th round to be your third quarterback on the depth chart with the 231st pick? To me, if you are someone hating on this pick, you are just looking to be different, because when you think about what Miami has had in their quarterback room, they have not had someone as talented as Ewers as the backup to Tua since they signed Zach Wilson. Like Skylar Thompson, no. Tim Boyle, no. Teddy Bridgewater, no. Like the ceiling of Ewers is so high. Is the floor really, really low? Absolutely. But when you use a 7th round pick on a guy like Ewers who can hit all the way up here, yeah, I'm going to give that an A+. I'll be fascinated to see how he works with Mike McDaniel in this Dolphin system. I cannot wait for June, July, August to see him work in the preseason and in minicamp. All right, the last pick the Dolphins made was Zeke Biggers, the defensive tackle from Georgia Tech. I give this one a B-. This one's a fascinating one. Has just an absolute massive wingspan, long arms, big player, the 3rd defensive lineman taken in this draft by the Miami Dolphins. There was a clear direction by Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. Trenches, trenches, trenches. They had 3 defensive linemen in this depth chart in Biggers, in Phillips, and Grant. And they added Jonah Savaiinaea at offensive line. It is a fascinating storyline to watch and how Miami shifted their kind of process to trenches and getting more physical. Ollie Gordon, another physical player. The safety from Maryland, physical player. They clearly wanted to add physicality to this roster with this draft class. I think they've done that, and I really like what Miami ultimately did with their 8 selections in the NFL draft. So time to grade it as a whole. Grade the Dolphins 2025 NFL Draft. Accumulate all the picks. Accumulate the couple of trades, the trade up, the trade back. Grade the Dolphins NFL Draft. It's completed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I'm going with a B+. I think that is very fair here. I really like Kenneth Grant. I like Jonah from Zona. I like Jordan Phillips. I like Quinn Ewers. I like Ollie Gordon. You can make some questionable decisions on Jason Marshall Jr., as well as the Maryland safety in the 5th round. But when you factor in that trade back in the 4th round to get a 3rd round pick in next year's draft from the Houston Texans, which is likely going to be high 70s, low 80s, I'm giving it a B+. The Dolphins addressed defensive line, arguably your biggest need. They addressed that final offensive guard starting spot. They got their developmental 3rd quarterback. The only thing they did not do adequately is address that cornerback spot. So what I expect in the next week or so is the Miami Dolphins to sign a veteran corner once those corners in free agency no longer factor into comp pick formulas for next year starting on Monday afternoon. So be on the lookout for that, which is why you subscribe to the channel. We will break down the entire UDFA class from Miami as well tomorrow. We'll have that entire tracker, and we will continue to have you updated on the free agency rumors and more this upcoming week. And when the Dolphins inevitably sign a veteran corner, because that will happen, we will have a video as well. So subscribe to the channel today.